Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. So, here we got a 2022 F-350. Now then, about this truck. Is this really the king of trucks? Is this really the perfect setup for towing? Well, today, welcome to the channel, by the way. I'm reviewing the truck. And let's talk about the Ford. This does not include the Chevy or the Dodge. We'll do those on a separate video. We're talking about the Ford. So first of all, the Ford, I believe this one has the 410 gearing. It's got the 10-speed. It's the 2022. Obviously, it's Super Duty. And this is just the most basic package. Like, it's the XLT. You don't really need nothing too fancy when you're towing. So as y'all can tell, here we got just the cloth seats, regular interior. We got almost 20,000 miles on it in less than 2 months. Or wait, how long has this one been? In a month, we almost put 20,000 miles on it. Let's think about the shave for a little bit. But yeah, 20,000 miles on it for a month. That ain't bad. Obviously, as y'all can tell, we got the WeatherTechs in the rear, and here's what the underside looks like. Got stuff underneath there, fishing pole, you know, the usual snacks and stuff. Back seats are gone. We got WeatherTechs on the back windows. Obviously, you don't need to see out the back windows. But things I like about the Ford and why I think it's pretty set up pretty good for towing. So obviously, number one, let's start with the exhaust brake, because if you can go fast, you also got to slow down. So the exhaust brake on the Ford, it's got two settings. Y'all could probably see it right there. So right there, the exhaust brake is on. You press it again, and then you have an automatic exhaust brake, which works as you step on the brakes. I usually keep it on engine brake on all the time. That way, if I let off the accelerator, the exhaust brake kicks in and it starts slowing me down. But let's get under the hood. Let's go over here real quick. So exhaust brake on this truck is pretty decent. Now then, under the hood, we got the only motor that's built in-house. So the 6.7 liter powerstroke. It's been built in-house from Ford since 2011, after they separated from International. And so far, it's been a pretty good motor for it to be in the trucks for about 11 years now. So quite reliable. This is my second Ford powerstroke that I've driven for Hot Shot with Tow Piglet. Y'all can see, make sure you go follow him. Second truck I've driven the Ford, or second time I've driven the Ford. The first one I've had never let me down. That's kind of why I like the Fords. Some of y'all might say I'm a fanboy. I'm not. That's reliability came into these, and they never left me on the side of the road. Besides that, you still got your blind spot monitor warnings, which is pretty cool even for the basic one on the 2022s. Got your typical 8-foot box. Obviously, we got the fifth wheel setup, but right now it's got the gooseneck setup. Fire extinguisher in the back. Obviously, that does not come with the Ford, like fire extinguisher. Got Michelins all around. What are these? These are 245 75R17s. So obviously, we got Michelins all around, which is pretty decent. The tires last a pretty good wear pattern. Obviously, we got almost 20,000 miles on it. They're starting to get eaten up a little bit, but with that, I mean, most tires from factory don't last more than 25,000 miles on them, typically. For the front, obviously, it's still working pretty good. Like, the wear pattern ain't too off. Obviously, we can close this now. Alright, so obviously we're back inside the truck for this, for it to be a little bit quieter. The reefer turned on. That guy got his truck on, and obviously this one's been idling. So, how does it do? I mean, these trucks for towing, they do badass. The reason I say this, as far as oh, somebody's texting me. As far as for towing, is because mostly these trucks, we use them for towing. They're always at a combined weight of 26,000. That's truck and trailer. And for what it is, most of the time the truck is always on. So yes, the truck is always on. Y'all heard that right. It shuts off some of the time, but most of the time the truck is on, depending on if it's hot outside or if it's cold. You want your truck on, you know, to keep the AC going. If it's cold outside, you want the heater on. Depending on where you're at, sometimes the truck does stay off when it's cold, because you can just crack the windows down a little bit and you'll be good with the blanket. But yeah, as far as miles per gallon, she's been doing pretty decent. She was doing 13.6 on the way here. She's currently doing 11.7, and that's loaded down. Obviously, we got the trailer loaded. So miles per gallon average anywhere from 9 miles per gallon to 13, 14 miles per gallon on the Ford. And the layout on the Ford is actually quite nice for the basic model. Even you got your cruise control over here, your keys to control the menu. Obviously the screens aren't that fancy right there, but I mean they work. Screen size ain't the best, but hey, if you're using it for work, the truck is decent the way it comes. Now there is some things I wish I could change. In my opinion, is the Ford the best tow rig? I would say yes and no. Yes, it's good for what it is. There are a few things I wish I could change about it, but I mean, from the factory, the way it comes, you can't go wrong with the Ford. Do I recommend a 10 out of 10? It's not a 10 out of 10, it's more like a 9 out of 10. But yeah, if you're gonna use it for towing, you're gonna be driving it for doing this kind of stuff, you can't go wrong with a Ford. There is a couple things I would change on it, but I mean, other than that, the Ford does good. She's not perfect. There is a couple things you gotta watch out for. Obviously, the biggest thing that's known to fail on these is the CP4, which they sell CP4 prevention failure kits. Because if the CP4 goes out, it takes out your whole fuel system. You'll have to do injectors. You'll have to flush out your fuel system, and there goes that. So besides it making 475 horsepower and 1,050 foot-pounds of torque, to me, this is the perfect setup from factory. Would I drive it? Yes. Is there a couple things I would change? The answer to that is yes. Now, is it the best truck? I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the best ones, but I feel like we can do better. Like I said, they all have their pros and cons, but to me, the Ford has treated me right. It never once left me on the side of the road. That's kind of why I talk good about it. This is coming straight up from a guy that runs the truck all the damn time. So the truck is always running. It's always working. It's always loaded. She's rarely ever empty. And we see all kinds of different conditions. We see extreme temperatures from hot to cold. So she's all over the place. So if you're looking for a Ford, would I suggest you buy one? I'd say if you have the funds for it, go for it. From 2011 and up, the 6.7s have been coming out good. The Fords have been doing decent since then, ever since Ford separated from Navistar. So now, you know, their engines are built in-house, and I'd say a Ford like this is not a bad truck. So there's what I think about it. Besides it being set up pretty good for towing, 410 rear end, 6.7 liter power stroke, it's a pretty decent truck. So hopefully this explains to some of y'all on why I think the truck is good for what it is. It could be better, but this is from factory. There are a couple things that I would do to it, but hope y'all have a good day. We're gonna watch some people back up. We're gonna go get some dinner, and y'all be safe, and we'll see you on the next video. Hope y'all enjoyed.